Are you so frustrated from being stuck on the hamster wheel of life and you know you need to get off and you just don't know how? Welcome to Ever Expanding Conversations. I'm Stacey Berger, transformational coach in life and business, and today I am going to be giving you a simple yet highly effective way to finally get off of that hamster wheel and feel a sense of peace and joy in your life again. That hamster wheel starts to build over time. You're in your job, you're working, you're maybe building your career or your business, and you're putting in the extra hours and the extra time and the extra effort, and that starts to produce some results. But usually that same amount of effort isn't sustainable. And so we just keep in that same pattern of push, push, push. And it feels like I've got to keep doing more in order to accomplish more. And that loop just continues to perpetuate itself until one day you wake up and you go, I'm stuck and I know I need to get off, but it can just feel so overwhelming to get off that hamster wheel. And we feel like if I stop doing what I'm doing, my business is going to suffer and then I'm not going to be able to pay the bills or my staff or provide for my family. And so the idea of getting off of it feels just as overwhelming as being on the hamster wheel. And here's the good news. There's some really subtle things that you can do that don't take a ton of time. And I think that's really key because when you're on the hamster wheel, the last thing you feel like is you have more time and energy to do something new and to add something new. And so this mental shift that I'm going to give you is so simple and can often feel misleading because of how simple it is. And here's the other thing, it's not going to be new to you. But chances are you've just forgotten to do this because you're so stuck, again, on that hamster wheel. So what's the antidote? It's gratitude. Such a simple yet powerful concept. And why gratitude works is it's a perception shift. So instead of getting so focused on everything we have to do, what we've got to get done, it helps us to shift our perspective to start looking at things that are going well. And as you shift that perspective, if you've heard the expression from Wayne Dyer, change your perspective, change your life, that's what this is all about. So why does gratitude work? Gratitude causes us to start thinking about the things that are going well in our life. What am I grateful for? And as you start shifting that perspective and looking for what you're grateful for, all of a sudden you're starting to notice what's going right. Where before maybe you just saw mistakes, you saw burnout, you saw not having enough time or lack or scarcity. All of a sudden you're training your brain to start to notice the little things that are going right. Maybe you haven't noticed the sunrise on your way to work because you've just been so busy ruminating about all of the things that you need to do. When you start intentionally looking for what to be grateful for, all of a sudden you start to notice the small miracles that are happening every day in your life. It could be as small as enjoying that cup of coffee and bringing more intention to enjoying your cup of coffee. It could be that sunrise in the morning, or maybe it's appreciation for your team that's working really hard every single day. And as you start to notice what you're grateful for and what's going right, it changes your biology. It actually releases serotonin, and all of a sudden the chemistry in your body is changing, and it'll lower the cortisol and that stress hormones. And all of a sudden the chemistry in your body starts to change. And as you release more of those endorphins and you're thinking about what's going right, you feel better. And when you feel better, you do better. You show up to your life. You show up to your day differently. And what that does is it starts to, first of all, slow the hamster wheel. So now I'm not moving quite as fast and things aren't just happening and coming at me as quickly. You start to slow time down a little bit and you appreciate those moments. And as you appreciate those moments, again, you feel better. And when you feel better, it causes you to pause and start to notice different opportunities. So gratitude, such a simple mindset shift that can completely change the trajectory of where you're going. So how can you practice gratitude? First of all, throughout the day, give yourself an assignment where, maybe once every hour, you're going to find something that you're grateful for, or at least at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, to start to train your brain to think in terms of gratitude. If you want to take that to the next level, take 5 minutes in the morning and simply write down 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for. Before you go to bed at night, write down 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for. Make it a habit and a practice in your day. It can also be really helpful to incorporate that into something you're already doing in the day. And so what that might look like is while you're sitting around the table and having dinner, you go around the table and everybody has to say something they're grateful for. Maybe it's before you start your team meetings on Monday mornings. You start with just everybody saying something that they're grateful for. If you can incorporate that into things that you're already doing, super helpful. So making it a practice, making it a habit of really looking for that gratitude. If you write it down, it's even more powerful. If you're somebody who exercises, you're out for walks, speaking your gratitudes out loud is incredibly powerful. So maybe turn off that podcast and just speak out loud everything that you can be grateful for in that moment, and notice how it changes how you're feeling. Notice how it changes your physiology, and you just feel better. And again, when we feel better, we do better. And as we do better, that's what's going to slow down that hamster wheel and eventually create that exit ramp off of it. What are you grateful for today? Couple of other ways to deepen gratitude practice. Again, I don't believe gratitude is a new concept for you as a listener here, but sometimes what happens is we forget about it or we get out of the practice of it. And if you do have a gratitude practice already and you're still on the hamster wheel, there's a couple of things you can do to deepen that gratitude practice. One of them is when you're writing your gratitudes, instead of just saying, I'm grateful for my business, I'm grateful for my kids, I'm grateful for my partner, I'm grateful for my health. Those are great. And sometimes if we're saying those same things every day, we're not getting into the emotion of it. It's just something to say. And so what you can do with that gratitude practice is go a little bit deeper. So I'm really grateful for my partner and how he prepared lunch for me and my team today, and the extra care and the love that went into that. So all of a sudden I'm bringing a very specific moment and more feeling, and that's going to help to elevate the energy and the emotion of that gratitude. So get more specific in your gratitudes. The other way to up-level gratitude, and this takes a little bit more spiritual fortitude, oftentimes we're grateful for when something happens good for us, right? Somebody buys you coffee, you land that new client, your team member goes the extra mile, and you have this like reciprocal gratitude for that experience. There's a much deeper level of gratitude where we can generate gratitude even in the midst of chaos, even on that hamster wheel. And so what can you be grateful for inside of the chaos, inside of the drama, inside of the problems and those crises? And our ability to generate a state of gratitude, no matter what the condition is really a master level of experience. And so maybe you have a health crisis and it doesn't feel like something you want to be grateful for. So no, it's not your preference, but what would it look like to generate gratitude for the healthcare system? To generate gratitude for the people who are helping you heal, or gratitude for the awareness that you can even choose gratitude. And so deepening that experience of gratitude where it's not just reactionary when something good is happening, but that you know you can be grateful no matter what's going on around you. At the end of the day, gratitude isn't something that we just do. Being grateful is really a way of being inside of the world. And the more that we can dial up the gratitude in our life, that's what's going to get us off of that hamster wheel and really shift our perspective and see life differently. So what are you grateful for? I would encourage you to take a few moments today, express your gratitude for the people in your life, to write down some of the things that you're grateful for, and just start to notice through repetition of that. And as you train your brain to really notice it, how that changes your life. I'm Stacey Berger. Here is to you living a life that you love.